Hey everyone, so this video is about the 90-90 knee squeeze exercise. So I'm just gonna talk a little bit about what the exercise does first before I show you. And what we're trying to do with this exercise is achieve a more open position for your pelvis so that when you're squatting or deadlifting, that you have room to go into. So let's say your pelvis is in a more forward and externally rotated position, or what you may have heard is called anterior pelvic tilt. So in a forward position like that and externally rotated, because they both go together, what happens is we get this closing back here. And what happens with that is when you go try to squat down, there's not as much room for your thigh bones to go into, and basically your hips get kind of closed off. So when you go to squat down, the range of motion will come either from your back or from your knees or your ankles, which can beat up the joints over time. Because the hips have so much range of motion, we really want to maximize how much weight is going in there. So this exercise, we're going to combat this position by attacking three main muscle groups. And not attacking, but using. So one of the muscle groups is called the oblique muscles. So those are the muscles that run on the side of your abdomen. And they attach on the front of the pelvis here, and they actually help pull the pelvis up this way. The other muscle group that we're going to use is the hamstring muscles. So the hamstrings attach on the bottom of your pelvis here. And if your pelvis is forward this way, by strengthening the hamstrings in the right position, we help pull the pelvis down this way. Now the next thing is bringing the pelvis in, because when the pelvis is forward, it also externally rotates out like that. So we're going to use the groin muscles, the muscles on the inside of the thigh, to help pull the pelvis back into this position like this. So once we do that, now we got a bit more space. Now, why would this be beneficial? I mentioned a little bit about how it creates a bit more space, but essentially if you can get into your hips more, you take pressure off your back, you take pressure off your knees, and you're instantly adding strength to your body by activating more musculature of the butt and the hamstrings. So if you're trying to improve the size of your glutes or your leg muscles, this is going to help. If you're trying to take pressure off your back so you could deadlift more weight or squat more weight, this is going to help. Enough about that. Let's work out. So to set up with this exercise, you're going to lie on your back with your legs bent at 90 degrees, with your feet on something relatively sturdy. Now you're going to want to get something to go in between the knees about this size. That's a little bit squishy so that it allows some give when you do the knee squeeze. You can use a rolled up sweater, a rolled up towel, anything really that has a bit of squish. Your fist can work if you have nothing. Sometimes the fist is a bit too narrow for people who may be really tight. So sometimes you could do two fists or a fist and a hand. The only thing is you do want to do this only if you have longer arms so that you can still relax the upper body. If you have shorter arms, you tend to come up like this or strain the neck. So figure that out. So I'm going to start with something in between my knees. And the first portion, we're going to go after the hamstrings first by pulling the heels down into whatever object we're using. And then to go further after the hamstrings, I'm going to reach my knees about a ½ inch to the ceiling like that. So I'm pulling down with the heels, reaching the knees towards the ceiling. And what that does, that helps posteriorly tilt the pelvis that way, making the hamstrings engage. Now, I'm gonna work the obliques and the groin at the same time when I do my exhale. And the exhale, we're gonna think about trying to fog up a pane of glass and getting as much air out of the body as we can. So it's gonna look like this from the top. So I'm going heels down, knee ½ inch to the ceiling. I'm going to exhale now. And as I'm exhaling, I'm squeezing the knees together. Gently. Once all the air is out, I'm going to pause for 3 to 4 seconds. And then slowly inhale through the nose. As I'm exhaling, I'm squeezing my knees gently into this roller. So that's the gist of it. The exhale helps get all your air out, and the exhale is what goes after the oblique muscles. The knee squeeze, it's what goes after the groin muscles, and the heels down and the knees reaching to the ceiling goes after the hamstrings. And when you perform this exercise, you do it for 4 breaths, anywhere from 1 to 4 sets of 4 breaths. And the way I like to think of it, it's kind of like flossing or eating your vegetables. You don't have to go overboard on it, but making sure you do it consistently is helpful. Even if your body's not in pain, it's helpful for just making you move better, making your technique smoother, and making you just feel better overall. If you are in pain, I would definitely do this maybe a little bit more in the beginning to help get you out of pain. And this is just I guess you would call a level 1 exercise, where it's getting rid of inhibiting the lower back muscles and turning on some abs and turning on some hamstrings. Let's do from the top one more time, just to cement all the technique. So 90-90 position, some things in between the knees, heels down, knees half-inch to the sky. Fog the glass. As I'm fogging the glass, knee squeeze into the roller. Getting all the air out. Pause after all the air is out. Slowly inhale through the nose. Now, if you're doing it correctly, you should feel a light muscle burn in the hamstrings, in the groin, in the abs, or maybe not necessarily a burn, but you'll feel them working. It may also feel a little bit uncomfortable to get all the air out and pause. On the inhale, you should feel some air going into the lower and upper back. Try not to force those things. Go easy into the exercise and just see if you can feel those things after doing them over some time. I hope you enjoy this, and thanks so much for watching.